All right, this is our breakfast on Citizen TV. Thank you so much for staying tuned. We'd like to start the week off with some inspiration for you. And back again today is Dr. Wale Akinyemi. Missed you last week, but you made it here today, so that's great. Today we're going to be talking about building relationships and what it takes to master the skill of building really good relationships. So where does this all begin? What's the baseline in building good relationships?
I think there are 3 levels. At least this is what has worked for me. 1, your relationship with God. 2, your relationship with yourself. And then 3, your relationship with others. Now, I found out that if your relationship with yourself is not good, the likelihood that you will have a good relationship with other people is very, very slim. Even God, the Bible says, love your neighbor as you have loved yourself. So what determines the level to which I can love my neighbor is how I have loved myself. So that's why it may sound selfish, but Wale comes first.
Take care of yourself first, so you can take care of everyone else.
Yes. You know, when you're flying on a plane, when they're giving the instructions for seat belts, it's so funny. They say, you know, in case of an emergency, put your seat belt first before you put the seatbelt for anybody else, even if it's your child, because it's so important. So I think the key thing is learning how to build a great relationship with yourself. Yeah.
You know, in building relationships, emotions come into play a lot of times, and if they're not managed properly, that's sort of something that can affect building a relationship. So what's the best way to manage our emotions within relationships? Again,
let me give you an example. There are certain things that maybe someone will say to you, and they say the same thing at different times. They say it when you're very happy, and the person says exactly the same thing when something has upset you. Your reaction will be different. Okay? That's why I must learn how to manage myself, my emotions, regardless of what's happening. Because, and I remember before I understood how to manage myself, I used to have a terrible temper.
Oh.
Honestly, I had a terrible temper, you know. And at the end of it, you blow up, you do all that, and, you know, I'm the one left. It's affecting me, you know, at the end of the day. But I realized when I got to a point where I could have a great relationship with Wale, and I understood, you know, when I'm going off track, I'm able to tell myself, hey, Wale, you're overdoing things. You know? I remember I used to get to the office at 4 a.m., you know, and one day it just dawned on me that, hey, you don't have a boss. What's your problem?
Right?
Your problem? You know, because I had to learn how to manage myself. And I prided myself in the fact that I'm a workaholic. You know, I prided myself in that. Now, you know what was happening? It was affecting my relationship with other people. You know, so once you know, and that's why the key to building great relationships, look inwards first. Because number one, when you manage your emotions properly, it affects the way you relate with other people. And then number 2, I've always said the number 1 principle for networking and attracting certain people into your network, be that kind of person. When you be that kind of person, then like attracts like. You know, the problem we have is that you're trying to manage other people and you have not learned how to manage yourself.
And where does that begin? Because we keep talking about, you know, building a relationship with yourself first. So where does that begin for someone who, you know, has no self-awareness whatsoever? Where would they begin?
You just mentioned it, that self-awareness. I need to understand, who am I? Why do I behave the way I do? What are the things that get me angry? What are the things that stress me? You know, in fact, I developed something called a stress diary.
Oh,
yes.
Tell us about that.
I developed a stress diary, and the stress diary, I segment my day, and I look at, okay, whenever I get stressed, I say, what time of the day was it? what caused the stress? All right? How did I respond? You know, so I'll give you an example. Time of the day, say 9 a.m. Oh no, if I don't have to go far. Time of the day, Monday, 7:30 a.m. Now, why are you stressed? Because Joy is waiting for me and I am in traffic. Okay?
Right.
All right. How did you react to the stress? I began to snap at people who called me. I snap at my driver, snap at everybody. Was it their fault? No. But I began to snap at them. Okay? Now, then, what could you have done differently? I could have left home earlier. You see, when you keep a stress diary like that, every time you get stressed, you know, so I actually developed a book like that. It says
so what is it that you're monitoring exactly? Like, are you looking for patterns or?
Patterns.
Okay.
Now, when I identify those patterns, then I realize, you know what, like I said, I know what to do different next time. So when I do it different next time, guess what? I have reduced my personal stress, because a lot of relationship breakdowns start from human beings who are individuals who have not, like you said, managed their emotions and having their own issues. That is what determines how they relate with other people.
Right.
So one minute you see me and I'm very pleasant, and the next minute I am very, very, very what's the word? My wife says there's a thin line between genius and insanity, and she doesn't know which side of the line I fall, because sometimes you now begin to behave in a way, and after that you look and say, why did I do that? You know, so it is important for everybody to take note of themselves and understand themselves.
Now, we often hear of people who've been in toxic relationships. That's the word that we hear quite frequently. So is it that the people are toxic going into the relationship, or how does that come about? How does that form?
Yeah, there are toxic relationships, true, but you find out that your ability to manage that relationship again falls back to the ability to manage yourself. You know, there are people that at one point in my life I thought, this guy is just a jerk, he's just, you know, but it was because of where I was. Let me give you a simple example. When we were in school, you know, I mean, we went to school when people still got whooped in school and all that. There were teachers that we hated with a passion. Okay? Now, 10, 20 years later, you look back and they ask you, who was your favorite teacher in school? And it was the same teacher you hated when you were in school. So what changed? You did. Right. You did. And so that is why the art, or actually managing relationships is not an art. Art is something that has unpredictable outcomes. I think it's a science. It has predictable outcomes. Whether and another thing I do, which as apart from managing myself, is to segment relationships. Okay. You know, there are there are those that I call the intimate. Right. It's my wife, my family, and all that. Then there are those that are not the intimate. The intimate, you are bound by blood. Then there is the inner circle. You are not necessarily bound by blood, so it's a choice. I like you, you like me, we connect, we give something to each other. So that inner circle. Then that could be, and you could name it whatever you want. You know, you could now have the third circle, which you can call an outer circle, or acquaintances, whatever. So we work together, we have to see each other every day, and for me to succeed, I must help you succeed, and so on and so forth at the workplace. Then you can keep segmenting them till you now get to my favorite. You know what it is? Others.
Very outer
Let me tell
circle.
you, others. Now, that also affects how I respond. So, if somebody that is in my intimate circle or inner circle brings some feedback to me, I pay attention to it. And you see, you find out that the difference between feedback and criticism. Feedback is from people who want you to succeed. Okay? Right. And most of the time they'll give you options. Criticism is out there. You know, they're not giving you options. In fact, they are happy that you're not succeeding because it gives them something to talk about. You know? Now, so if I am getting people from the others are saying bad things about me, you know what? That is what I call the nth insignificant factor. It doesn't mean a thing. You know, I'm not going to pay attention to it. But if people that truly want me to succeed, you know, are giving feedback, it's constructive, they're giving me options, then I'll pay attention to that.
Yeah. What do you think is the number one thing that breaks good relationships down? What?
Communication.
Okay.
Yes. Communication. Lack of it. I give an example. There was this, my parents, when they got married, they, you know, my mom died many, many years ago, but I remember she told me this story, that when she first got married to my dad, my mom cannot eat cold food. Okay? And so she would make food, and she's a new bride, very excited to make food, and so she would make food and set the table and ask my father to come come to the table, and that's when he decides to read the newspaper. And so this went on, and my mom got really angry. You know, so one day she said, she just blew it. I said, what's your problem? You know, I go to the kitchen, I slave, make food for you, and then you just sit there. What is your problem? Don't you know I cannot eat cold food? He also blew it. Don't you know I cannot eat hot food?
Well, there we go.
Now, if only they had had a conversation before. And you know, it would have saved a lot of stress. Many times we avoid certain conversations because they're not comfortable, but sometimes going into that conversation, engaging in that difficult conversation will prevent something bigger. I give another example. There's this husband and wife, and they had really physically assaulted each other. The wife had, you know, bruises all over. And true story, they were asked, the woman was asked, what happened? You know, and they asked the man, why did you beat her this way? What happened? And you know what? She said, he refused to give me chewing gum. Chewing gum. But you know what had happened? So many things had been happening that
it was a build-up.
It was a build-up. It was a build-up. So the final thing was, by the time the chewing gum issue came, everything was already here. So the chewing gum came and it just brought everything out. So I believe in communication. I believe in having difficult conversations. You know, it may not be convenient, you may not like it then, but I will have that conversation with you. You know, and it's better to have the conversation when we're not angry.
This is true. When everyone's well fed and happy.
Yes, everybody is happy.
Right.
We have the conversation, lest it escalate.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Wale, for coming to Power Breakfast again, sharing with us about building relationships. Key things, you know, take away from today, as Dr. Wale said, work on the relationship with yourself first, and also communication as being one of the key factors in building relationships. Dr. Wale Akinyemi, maybe you can share your social media as well, just quickly. Oh,
at Wale Akinyemi. That's Twitter, at Wale Akinyemi, one word. And then Facebook, just look for Wale Akinyemi resource page. I have a lot of resources there. Okay, and hopefully you'll bring those resources back next Monday here on Power Breakfast. Will Sabru is standing by. I understand we have some of the strongest men in Kenya outside, and they're going to be sharing with us some of their skills. So stay tuned for that.